What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. JP Dividends here, bringing you guys another video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of my holdings, how they're doing, as well as my goals in the road to 50,000, this journey that I'm currently on. So this is going to be a new series. I'm going to be doing a monthly update on my portfolio, show you guys, kind of what I bought for the month, what I've been looking at, how the total portfolio is doing, how my dividend income's doing, as well as my goal to get to 50,000. So if you're on the road to a certain goal right now, drop a comment down below. What's that number you're trying to hit? I'd love to hear what you guys, are striving for. And also, one thing I wanted to mention is obviously this is episode 1 of Road to 50,000. Let's say that by, episode 8 or 9, I hit that $50,000 mark. Then what's going to happen is the series will change to Road to 100,000, but then the episodes will stay the same. So it'll be like episode 8, Road to 50,000. Let's say I break above that. Then it's going to be, okay, episode 9, road to 100K. So realistically, if I can actually keep this series going for a long period of time, it's actually a road to a million series, but it's just going to take years on years for that to happen. So for now, we're starting with road to 50K. So I'm currently at $36,305. Market's been down a little bit the last week or two. My total amount invested is $33,610. This current value here, this is between my brokerage, my Roth, and my 401k. So my total return is $2,695. Not too bad at all. And some of these charts you guys may have seen in my other videos. So this portfolio value chart, this is just updated once a month. So this number right here is actually 37,000 because that's where my portfolio is at by the end of July. But the current value, the most up-to-date one, is right here. So down a little bit from where we were at August 1st, end of July, but totally fine. Also, one thing I want to mention on this total return here is that this is not factoring in previous dividend income that I've received. So I probably should add that in, but in the meantime, this is just, this minus this. And then taking a look at kind of this chart over here on the left, I think I've shown you guys this one in some of my other videos for the dividend updates, but as you can see, annual dividends right now is at $955. My portfolio dividend yield, and that is between all the portfolios, is 2.6%. And then the dividend growth rate is 9.1%. So right now my portfolio is yielding 2.6%. And those dividends, even if I don't reinvest them or do anything, they're growing at about 9% a year. So not too bad. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is that this annual dividend number, $955, that's about $80 a month. So I just want to, let you know that's kind of the average if you divide that by 12. And so one thing I've been focusing on the past few months or so is getting my dividend yield to be higher on the portfolio. I'd like it to be more around like 2.9 to 3% ideally, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to start buying bad companies just to increase the yield. So for me, it's mainly just going to be a lot of SCHG. That way I can increase the yield and keep the growth rate right around that 10%, hopefully above 10%. And then this bottom section here, I was trying to figure out what I want to do kind of with this whole section, but I've decided that I want to make it kind of a goal section. That way it's like, okay, here's the goal is 50,000. How much money do I need to get there? So right now I'm at, this 36,000 number. That's the difference between the 50 minus that is going to give us that 13,695. Out of that 50,000 goal, how much have I completed of that? Am I close or am I pretty far away? Well, I'm about 73% of the way there. And every, 2 weeks or semi-monthly, however often I invest, that's going to increase this percentage. And then just a little bit of motivation at the bottom here is that if I do hit that portfolio goal of 50,000, assuming my dividend yield is the same, that 2.6%, then I would be making $110 on average. So basically using this section as a motivator for me. And then this little bottom right chart, I'm not sure if I've shown you guys this before, but this is just my way of seeing how my monthly dividends are looking when you compare, this year to last year to the year before. So as you can see, 2023 is the blue, 2022 is the green, and 2021 is the yellow. So ideally, I want these blue bars to always be above the green, and I want the greens to be above the yellows. Now, there's going to be a few exceptions, as you can see, it looks like May here, they were kind of close, but for the most part, it's just a nice way to track, to make sure that your dividends are going up year over year. I really like this format. And then all of this data here that I have being pulled in, it's actually being pulled in from these other tabs, but then it's directly being pulled from the exact same tab over here. So basically all the data is getting pulled in from over here to the right side of it. But then this data that's coming in over here on the right side, that's being pulled from some of these other tabs. So I'll show you guys a quick breakdown. So the dividend tracker, this is normally the one I'm showing you guys, is this one right here. So as you can see, dividend growth, 95. I basically just copy this chart over. I go in once a month, update this number. So once we finish August, I'll update whatever that is. It's probably going to be around this $28 mark. And then the rest of it, just all this right here, I just copy the formulas and paste them right there, and then it'll copy in. So then this down here, this is kind of the year over year change. So I could see, okay, how much am I, this July compared to last July, I was up $52. I was up 122%. That's awesome. Quarter over quarter change here. Okay, compared to 3 months ago, how am I looking? Okay, well, I'm actually down $4. Why is that? So that I can kind of look into it. So that is where basically on this dashboard tab here, all of this data right here is getting pulled in from this tab. So every time I update this, all I have to do is basically go in and update the graph range. So I add in the new row there, and then I'm all good. And then just a few other charts I like to look at is my trailing 3-month average. And these will get updated when I pull the formula down, which is kind of nice. I just have to change the chart range, which is super quick. I can see my trailing 3-month percentage change and then the year over year percent change. So I can see, okay, 122.6%. And that was the same number that I had right here. So yeah, so that's just a few graphs that I use to kind of, reference to see, are things going up? How are things looking? And then this graph down here in the bottom right, that's just getting pulled in from over here. This one is the initial kind of format I had for it, I guess you could say. And all I have to do here is just go in and update this every month. And then the dashboard over here will pull that data in up top right here. So that's pretty nice. I like having everything kind of linked like this. That way I can just type in the numbers and everything updates automatically. Super quick, super easy. One other section I kind of have down here is just looking at my total dividend income for the year. So 2 years ago, I was at $213 for the year. Last year, I was at $545. This year, I'm at $450 so far. So I'm on pace to do probably around, realistically, I'll probably get around, I think like $850, $900, somewhere in there. But we'll see. Like I said, we still got quite a few months left. Hopefully a lot of buying's going on in the meantime. In fact, I think it is. And then moving on to this tab here, this is one that I've talked to you guys about in the past. I think I've shown this in my dividend videos where basically I'm just showing, my portfolio growth, the gain, the loss, how all that's looking. So all I do here is I go, okay, the very first of the month, so the very first of August, aka the end of July, what was my portfolio at? Okay, it was at this 37,000 mark. How much did I put in? Great. What's the difference between those two? Or what's the change from last month to this month? And then basically it's like, okay, well, out of that change, that 3,400, how much of it was deposits? That means the remainder is all in gains. And then I basically calculate the gains by taking this number right here and you divide it by the previous month. So that is how I calculate that. And yeah, same thing here. It's all getting pulled in on the dashboard tab once I update all of this in this area as the months go along. And then moving into my actual holdings tab. So right here, this is all of my holdings. These are my stocks. This is how they're doing as a whole. Some of this stuff is getting used on the dashboard, like the annual dividend. I don't have the monthly dividend, but yeah, right around that $80 mark. Dividend goal, that's not getting pulled in, but still, it's just good to look at. But this is where basically all I have to do is anytime I go to buy a stock or I make any new purchases, I just have to update the shares and the average price and everything else will update. One thing I did want to mention is this DFUSX holding, this row right here. This is my 401k. It tracked the S&P 500, but because I've moved jobs, it's in the process of being rolled over. So I just have that value fixed at 4,600 because that's right about the amount that was at. So just a heads up that there is that this holding, although it looks really large, it's literally just the S&P 500. Like it's no different than, where's VU? No different than VU. Pretty much the exact same thing. But yeah, I like using this tab just to see, which stocks are doing well, what's my cost basis on them, are they up, are they down? And again, like I mentioned before, this does not factor in previous dividends I've been paid, so I definitely need to add that in. But in the meantime, it's just a nice quick way to kind of see, how the total portfolio is doing. So this is that value here, that 36,000. So I like to use this tab just to see how, what stocks are doing well, which ones should I be buying more of. I also can kind of see like, okay, out of my total investments, 15% is SCHD, 12% is Vici. The S&P 500 is 12.7 plus 3.5. So about 16% is the S&P 500 because I did this DFUSX plus VU because that's S&P. So then 9.8% Microsoft, 6% Realty Income, 8% JP Morgan, 5% Qualcomm. One thing I've been making a big emphasis on the past honestly, pretty much all of this year is to try to buy a lot less technology stocks. Not that I don't like them, but it was a very large percentage of my portfolio before. So I'm glad I brought that down quite a bit, especially focusing on just ETFs like SCHD and VU. And then I can also see the sector diversification here. So, as I just showed kind of right up here, most of it's in, ETFs, then there's technology, then REITs, then finance. I do want to increase my consumer staples as well as consumer discretionary. So I do plan on increasing that, over time to be a larger percentage. That way, ideally tech, I would only like to be like between, I don't know, maybe 15 and 20%. So we're going to keep trying to lower that if we can, especially a lot of the current valuations, like my biggest holdings. I don't really need to add more at this time. And then just kind of moving over here, one section I do really like about this is I can see what my annual dividends are. The only thing I do have to do manually here is update the annual dividend. So if a company announces a dividend increase, I need to make sure to keep track of that and go update that here. That's a pretty quick fix. And then I can see what the dividend yield is, their 10-year dividend growth rate. I think this is 10-year, might be 5-year, but regardless, I get it off Seeking Alpha, so I'm sure you could find it. And then my total dividend, so I can see what my highest dividend payers are, which are the brightest green, and then the lowest ones, which are obviously the ones that are white. But yeah, overall, it looks like SCHD and Vici kind of carrying the weight on their backs. They're bringing me about $433 a year. Now, one section I do really like that, I'm not sure if many people do this, but I like to see how many shares I'm buying. So it's like, okay, if I get paid $204 in dividends from SCHD, and if right now SCHD is at 74.57, and this is being pulled in from Google Finance, basically if I go, okay, well I'm making $200 a year from this, it's at about, I don't know, 74.50 a share. How many shares is that buying me every year? And so basically my free money from my dividends is going to buy me an extra 2.7 shares. And guess what? That 2.7 shares, that's going to get me even more dividend income. So essentially what this section says right here is, out of all these dividends I'm getting, which is really nice, that out of that $9.55 I'm getting in dividends, that's buying me a bunch of shares, right, of all these companies. And those shares are then going to pay me this amount in dividends. So it's basically saying like, okay, out of all my dividends, how much is that also bringing me in more dividends? It's kind of like looking at the Snowball a little bit more in depth. But yeah, this is kind of the main way I've been keeping track of my portfolio. And then one last thing I want to show you guys is my investing goal. I use this to see, okay, my goal this year is to invest $30,000. Realistically, you guys, I do not think I'm going to hit that $30,000 mark. I mean, even if I really try to, these next 5 months, I do think I'm going to invest quite a bit, but right now we're at 10,000. I think by the end of the year, we'll be kind of around 22, 23, 24,000. So the last 5 months here, you're going to see a pretty big increase compared to these first, 6 months or so. The main reason I'm probably not going to hit that goal is because of these middle months. I was looking for a job, and this is pretty much all 401k money at this point because I was just saving up money a little bit there while I was looking for a new job. And I was still working at that time, by the way. It's not like I was, homeless or anything. But yeah, so that is pretty much the road to 50,000. This is the dashboard. I'm going to keep you guys posted on, what stocks I'm buying, what I've been really liking, what my goals are, and how I'm going to try to achieve them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to drop a like down below, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.